Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You're watching another episode of Engine Room, a podcast by Token Metrics, in which we help you make sense of what's going on in the big, busy, and sometimes scary world of cryptocurrency. This is our Wednesday group chat, so I'm joined, as always, by Forrest, Bill, and Jacob. Guys, good afternoon, good morning. How are you?
Hi there.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, good morning.
Lots of news to go through, lots of interesting stuff going on in crypto this week. No surprise, no change there. But one of the things, let's get this out of the way really quickly, because Shiba Inu, kind of a meme coin that seems, in my mind, is a bit of a response to Dogecoin, the grandfather of meme coins. The price action is crazy on this thing. It's still trading for fractions of a fraction of a penny, but it's gained some preposterous percentage, like 43 million% over the past couple of months. And then we also noticed that smart money has been piling into SHIB. I kind of want to ask Forrest, I mean, what do you make of this? And if if it doesn't make sense, then let us know, because I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. I haven't done a deep dive on what is becoming appears to be becoming an entire ecosystem within Shiba Inu. There's some sort of decentralized finance applications being built around this meme coin. Smart money's been piling into Shiba Inu for a month and a half, so maybe they know something that the rest of us don't. Maybe they're just riding a narrative, a meme. Regardless, Shiba Inu now has a $31 billion market cap, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. This is one of those things, though. I would not giving financial advice, but I would proceed with caution if you're one of those people that are looking to jump in. Now, I would have said the exact same thing 2 months ago, and had you jumped in 2 months ago, you'd be up 8 to 10x right now. So maybe I'm not giving the best advice, but when you've got something that just doesn't quite add up, it doesn't quite make sense, seems maybe a little bit too good to be true. You should be cautious. You should be cautious. It's a little bit different. I would at the very least, recommend doing your due diligence and doing a really big deep dive and doing some research as to why, to understand why it is that Shiba's price is acting the way that it is.
Yeah, well, I know Bill has one theory about why this might be going on. Bill, put that theory out there. Let's see if we can test it in public here. What do you think is going on with Shiba?
Well, I mean, in Asia, particularly in China, crypto was shunned and made illegal pretty much. And then there's also, you have to consider the market in India. So you've got this coin that doesn't cost very much to get into. And, smart money was betting on this for a reason, right? In other words, there's a new buyer of SHIB that's coming from somewhere. And my guess, it's coming from frustrated people in Asia who are just looking for something to buy, because, the original story behind SHIB, it was like something put out of Asia on the Ethereum network to jam the Ethereum network. I mean, Vitalik was furious and sold all his SHIB to try to make a statement and push it down. So, smart money was buying SHIB, and the big question is, who was buying it before? What did smart money see? They didn't wake up one day and go, "Oh, gee, let's all buy SHIB." No, there's a natural buyer behind it. Either it's going to be accepted somewhere in Asia or otherwise. So, it's not that smart money bought it. It's that they saw something in this. Besides, the bigger the base, the higher in the space. I mean, that was clearly on the chart, right? But, I'm guessing Asia is buying it.
Can you unpack that soundbite, Bill, for people who aren't too as familiar with your work as we are? The longer in the base, the bigger in space.
Sure. So, SHIB, when it first came up, went straight up and then went straight down and then did nothing for like 5 months at the absolute bottom of the, in other words, it basically went up, went down, and then just went this way at the bottom end of its range. So normally in charts, when you have this period at the bottom end of a range, especially after a long decline, where something just goes sideways. Okay, we call that a base. And the longer something bases, the higher it can go, or the more violent the rally once a catalyst appears and once it starts. So, SHIB based, and then it launched into space. And as Forrest said, sometimes these type of coins, it used to be Litecoin and DOGE, now it's SHIB. Sometimes these things can moon right as a major market correction will start. But no one's going to get, no one's going to get in front of SHIB, but you do have to ask, you do have to check yourself so you don't wreck yourself before you FOMO into this, because it can go up for like 2 or 3 more days, but what happens when the music stops?
Yeah. Well, let's shift this conversation away from meme coins and now talk a little bit about meme stocks, or more specifically, job listings for companies that are a prominent meme stock. Of course, I'm talking about GameStop. On Monday, GameStop listed a total of 8 jobs for crypto-friendly candidates, including 3 roles for people with NFT experience. So the interpolation here is that GameStop is about to make a crypto play. NFTs are involved. What do we think of this? Is this an attempt to stay center of the spotlight, or do they actually see something substantive here? Let's read a quick quote from the exact job description. GameStop is looking for a unique individual who can help accelerate the future of gaming and commerce. In this future, games are the place to go, and play is driven by the things you bring. Future creators won't just build games, but also the components, characters, and equipment. Blockchains will power the commerce underneath. Sounds pretty exciting to me, to be honest. I can just remember an interview we did on Crypto Hot Seat yesterday, in which the interview subject said, the metaverse is going to be big because of COVID lockdowns and governments shutting the world down at random. So if games are the new reality, it only makes a certain degree of sense that GameStop should be seeking out crypto and NFT people. What do we all make of this? I know, Forrest, you're into Zed Run, which is a certain kind of crypto game, not exactly the kind of thing that GameStop might be into, but this is the future of games. Yes, is that a bridge too far?
Yeah, so NFTs have a ton of utility. One of the utilities of NFTs, one of the many, are you can use NFTs as in-game items, wearables, weapons, whatever have you. But NFTs can also be your ticket like into a game, right? If you own the NFT, then you can access the game. Well, GameStop is in the business of buying and selling games, right? If you take in your old games, they'll give you like 20% on the dollar, if that, right? But you can use that as game credit to buy a new game system, right? So they're in the marketplace of buying and selling games and game platforms, game systems, right? So I don't know exactly what play they're looking to get involved in. I don't know if they're looking to create an NFT exchange, whatever it is. But the next evolution of gaming it's becoming very, very clear that next evolution of gaming is going to take place on the blockchain, with NFTs as a central part of that. So them hiring NFT people and blockchain people tells me that they are looking ahead to be a part of this next evolution of gaming, right? Which is very interesting because GameStop has a very large brick and mortar footprint, and blockchain gaming and metaverse is largely digital, which is very, very interesting to see how these two things are going to interplay.
I mean, if and when this comes to fruition, it's just going to be such a. I mean, GameStop is already an underdog success story in some respects because the GameStop fans cost short hedge funds many billions of dollars. So personally, I'm a little excited to see GameStop reinvent itself as something very primal and relevant to modern gaming, right? You don't even have large game studios like Ubisoft, for example. They're not exactly very forward with any crypto gaming strategy. So if it takes a retailer to make this stuff go a little more mainstream, then I'm extremely here for it. You can count me eating popcorn and watching in the corner. Jacob, what do you think of this? You're young. Talk to us about games and crypto.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think GameStop's strategy is very smart. I think they are doing they would have, if they weren't a meme company, if they weren't trendy, if they weren't trying to take down big hedge funds like Citadel, or at least their investors, the retail investors, I think they would have been doing this anyway, because this is the future of gaming. When we talk about the metaverse and people being stuck at home, I only think of the movie Ready Player One, which, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty much a game about the metaverse where they're stuck in this dystopian world where their only escape is putting on their VR headset to join the metaverse. And I really do think that's the future. And so I think GameStop would have been going down this path anyway, but obviously they both get to go down the future and also get more in the hype, be a little more memey. And I think, like Forrest said, since they have a lot of brick and mortar stores, I could also see them putting in metaverse VR headsets in their stores that you can then go in and join the metaverse if you don't have access to the equipment, which probably will cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. Then that'll draw people into the physical stores. And also, Forrest also mentioned that you could trade in your old games or your old consoles for credit. I could also see store credit, or specifically GameStop store credit, being a coin, a token, a cryptocurrency, rather than just getting a gift card. I could also see that being on the blockchain. And then you could also expand that to, okay, well, maybe Amazon gift cards or Walmart or JCPenney gift cards could be on the blockchain with the JCPenney token instead of just gift card store credit.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm extremely here for it. It's going to be exciting to see how it all plays out. Be looking forward to seeing who GameStop actually hires to be their these 8 crypto-informed game nerds. It's fun stuff. Let's pivot away from that conversation to now talk about Sam Altman and Worldcoin. If anybody's not familiar, Sam Altman is a pretty established name in the conventional startup and venture capital space. He leads something called Y Combinator, which is a startup incubator in the Bay Area. Sam Altman is now making some pretty unflattering headlines for himself because he's announced a cryptocurrency project called Worldcoin. So what is Worldcoin? Worldcoin purports to be a crypto that will serve as a global universal basic income. So the catch is that if you want some of this free money, then the plan is that you have to have your eyeballs scanned. And the blowback on this little detail has been remarkable. I'm going to read a tweet from Sam Altman in which he kind of backpedals in the days after making his announcement. He says, "I definitely underestimated the visceral reaction to using biometrics for identity verification. For example, I love Face ID and was surprised to hear from people who don't. And it didn't come in through WorldCoin's field test. Interesting update for me. This is a little disappointing to me, to be honest. I have higher expectations of people who claim to be such well-informed business leaders. It is surprising. I'm surprised that he's surprised to learn that people don't love biometrics. I kind of want to bounce this off of Bill. Bill, what do you make of business people saying, "Oh, I know what the world needs. We need to know what everybody's retina scans are, and then we're going to pay them crypto for it"? How does that square with you?
All right, so this has 2 components, right? UBI and then privacy. So the super elite want universal basic income to prevent the worldwide French Revolution where the poor rise up against the rich. From a practical point of view, like take the United States, it's totally absurd to have Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, unemployment. It doesn't make sense, right? You should be dropped dollar coin as universal basic income. That's good for things beyond food, rent, Uber, diapers, etc. Right? So UBI is going to be a reality, especially if we're headed for like dystopian economics or hyperinflation. So UBI makes sense. Now, this guy is trying to create UBI by identifying people using biometrics. Okay, so the guy's like, well, it's not what he said, it's what he didn't say. How do you identify the people who should get the UBI? Now, he's using biometrics. I was like, all right, well, way to make yourself irrelevant on a very relevant topic. Okay? But, you know, the guy's making a mistake by using biometrics and not explaining that he wants to use biometrics to identify, you know, the people who need to get the UBI first, right? I mean, 1 in 12 people in the United States, as I understand it, or it's actually more than that. Like, there's still a lot of people that can't get access to nutritious food, right? Food stamps raised their allocation $90 a month to people who are getting food stamps. Andrew Yang is writing books and getting a lot of attention, and he was the original UBI proponent, you know, and he was laughed at 5 years ago. So the super elite wants UBI. The question is, how do they do it? How do they do it without getting themselves in trouble or flaming the revolution that they're trying to prevent?
Yeah. I mean, where to go from there? Edward Snowden himself kind of tweeted his own disapproval about this idea with the memorable line that the human body isn't a ticket punch. So I think we can pretty fairly understand where his head's at on this topic. But it's going to be interesting to see if this project ever actually comes to fruition. It does sound, to me personally, it does sound very dystopian, a little too brave new world for the year 2021, in my opinion. But never doubt a committed guy in Silicon Valley. that's what my experience tells me. Anyway, go ahead, Jacob.
I think a big mistake was also marketing it to people in crypto, because everyone in crypto loves their anonymity and not sharing information with the government or any big corporations. So if you're going to say, hey, everyone in crypto, get this huge ball to scan your eye, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think there are legitimate data concerns. I have here pulled up a quote from the Worldcoin's data disclosure, and it says Worldcoin does not disclose data to any third parties except to those who require access to the data in order to perform their tasks and duties, and to share with third parties who have a legitimate purpose for accessing.
Yeah, I mean,
so that just makes me feel a little uncomfortable with sharing my retina. If that's how they use my data.
You're reminding me, Jake, like, that's such a vague blanket thing. We're only going to give it to the people who really need it. It reminds me of the other way that this coin was being marketed, that it will be distributed as fairly as possible. That was pretty much the exact words from Sam Altman's tweet when he introduced this project. But there was absolutely no substance on what that little soundbite means. It will be distributed as fairly as possible. Fairly as possible under what terms? Who needs it the most? How do you quantify that need? Anyway, I think I don't want to say I hate this project. I'll say this could have been much better executed, at least in how they presented it to the public. Anyway, guys, moving right along, I think we have two stories that kind of dovetail nicely with the topic we just covered. There's a really interesting opinion article on CoinDesk titled "What Drives Crypto Users? Distrust of the System or Speculation?" Basically, do people love crypto because they want to make money, or do people love crypto because they hate the government? And then over at The Block, my former colleague Colin Post has published a story called "Rand Paul Asks Whether Crypto Could Become the Reserve Currency of the World." So, two things happening here. We know that crypto is a volatile asset. People can make money on it, but at the same time, it serves undeniable utility by being able to, effectively instantaneously transact with any individual in the world without any third party involved. So to put all of this to a question for the group, what's the more interesting utility or use case for crypto? Payment system that kind of flies in the face of government sanctions or any third party payments processor, or something that could theoretically make you rich if you make intelligent trades and do things the right way? What's the more interesting use case for crypto?
I think the investment narrative ties it all together. In other words, the answer is making money, but it's an investment that people can get their head around because, young people and older people, older people might say the government's awful. Young people are just like, well, I'm not investing in the legacy system because I don't believe in it. So everybody unites at the point where they say, okay, this is a great investment. This is the way to make money because, it's not going to be in legacy. So let's make money in crypto.
Yeah. Anybody have anything to add to that? I'll throw out the idea that it's completely interesting and compelling to me about how simple it is to move money between America and Russia, for example. I have financial relationships with a few people in Russia, my in-laws. I have a Russian tutor. The Russian tutor, we have to use PayPal. And I hate using PayPal with Russian people because I'm being dinged twice. I'm paying a charge once for currency conversion, and then I'm paying a charge a second time just because PayPal can make me pay a second charge to send internationally. Whereas if I could get my Russian tutor to take USDC, not only would he be getting the money just as quickly, but close to 100% of the money I'm actually transmitting would land in his pocket. So don't get me wrong, I love speculating and making a little bit of money on crypto, but I also love technology that makes the world into a smaller place. And so that's where my head's at on that. Forrest, Jacob, do you guys have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I mean, the two basic use cases are like store value and transfer value. So you payments and store value. I think a good cryptocurrency is capable of doing both of those things, and this boils down to the entire reason why I have one of my largest positions in my portfolio is Nano, which has, as of late, quite honestly, been underperforming. But I'm not willing to sever ties with that position because I ultimately believe that from a technical perspective, it is the best digital cash and store value solution that's ever been created. It's fast, it's feeless, it's instant. There's a finite supply, right? There's only so much, right? Bitcoin does have some inflation, right? That incentivizes the security. But Nano is just as secure, by some metrics more secure, and it's completely feeless and instant, and it has no inflation. It's fully distributed as well, so there's no inflation built in. So I'm that entire the merging of these two ideas under one currency, store of value, right, an inflationless currency, as well as payments, right, instant, feeless, also very green, right? The one wind turbine is capable of powering the entire Nano network, right? Versus the you look at Bitcoin or other solutions, and whether you support the idea of Bitcoin or not, when you compare cryptocurrencies across to each other, you can compare Bitcoin, you can compare apples to oranges, right? You can compare Bitcoin to the current banking system and say Bitcoin uses way less power than the current banking system. But if you compare Bitcoin to other cryptocurrencies that are capable of doing what it does just as well, if not better, well, certainly better because it's fast and feeless and far more scalable, then it's a fair comparison to sit and say that the energy concerns are very well founded. So this is my entire thesis behind why I am so heavily invested in this one network.
Gotcha. How does Nano compare to Bitcoin Cash? Because a certain guy named Roger Ver would probably his head would be spinning to hear you speak this way. Roger Ver is kind of a fundamentalist when it comes to Bitcoin Cash being the digital cash. How does Nano and Bitcoin Cash compare, Forrest?
Yeah, so there's probably a good article on that exact topic, and I don't want to butcher the explanation because I'm sure a Bitcoin Cash expert will refute me in the comments if we have those enabled. But my understanding is that Bitcoin Cash is just simply a fork of Bitcoin with a larger block size. That means it has higher throughput. There are potentially they may be founded, they may be unfounded security concerns that come along with increasing the block size. but ultimately there still is a fee attached to Bitcoin Cash, right? And it is still powered and secured by miners, right? And even if those fees are small, in my opinion, no fee is always going to beat any type of fee, no matter how small. And the reason being is because if I send you 5 Nano, right, to your address, it's the UI is just as the exact same as sending Bitcoin. I just, copy and paste your address in, type how much Nano I want to send you, hit send. It's there in 2 seconds. It's instantaneous, right? And you receive 5 Nano. You don't receive 4.99. You don't receive 4.999997, right? It's instant in finality, and it's completely feeless, and it's green. You receive 5 Nano. What I send you to me, that is how a cryptocurrency should work. There's ultimately no middleman whatsoever taking a cut. Zero middleman, right? That is, to me, true decentralization.
Yeah, very good, very good. Guys, we're down to the last story that I've got today. It's about CoinList, and I suspect that us here chatting are pretty familiar with CoinList, but maybe American crypto users at large, perhaps less so. CoinList is completely interesting to me because this is a way for crypto investors to get in on the ground floor, or maybe even get in under the ground floor of certain crypto projects as they attempt to raise money before holding any sort of public token sale. If we draw an analogy between the crypto market and the stock market, CoinList is a vehicle for buying stock in the pre-IPO phase, and it's completely illegal for U.S. citizens to be involved. So we're talking about this today because CoinList has just scored a fresh injection of funding, $100 million in funding, that now puts the company valuation at $1.5 billion. What do we make of this? I mean, this is what's going to happen when American citizens are allowed to actually use CoinList. It feels like it's inevitable in the long run. But right now, I know certain investors in Token Metrics use their second citizenships to use CoinList. I'm trying to get my wife using CoinList, using her citizenship. What's been our experience or past interactions with CoinList if we can't invest in it? What do we know about CoinList?
Yeah, I mean, I have a large distaste for that rule that bars U.S. There's some really stupid rules that are quote unquote there to protect U.S. investors, but in reality, that law has costed me hundreds of thousands of dollars by not being able to participate in these sales.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like it's not like it's a scam site. There's obviously no guarantee that these investments are going to pay off or be profitable. But historically, CoinList has very good deal flow, and the investors in their projects for the last year have made very large gains. And so I'm not a big fan of the regulation that is imposed on.
Yeah, I understand that CoinList itself does a certain amount of due diligence on these projects for sake of minimizing / eliminating completely any scams that might attempt to use its platform. So, and I can't recall one instance where a scam actually got through. Yeah, it's interesting that this private company is actually perhaps doing a better job of protecting its users than any government issuing a blanket regulation saying, no, you can't use this money making vehicle, this speculative vehicle.
I mean, it's the power of the free market. If CoinList doesn't do their due diligence and they let scams through, no one's going to use CoinList, and they're not profitable anymore, and they can't raise $100 million. It's the beauty of the free market stepping in and being incentivized to not let scams on their platform.
Yeah. Well, this 100 million injection was a Series A round that brings the company's total funding to date to 120 million. It last raised money in April 2018, and the word on the street is that it's not looking to raise any more money anytime soon for at least the next 18 months. And it turns out that CoinList is completely profitable and may not ever need to raise money again. So let's put a big CC Gary Gensler on that. Maybe we can get him to reevaluate some things. Guys, that's all the news that we've got for today. Does anybody have any parting thoughts before we button this thing up and get out of here?
I think one thing you got to look at when you look at CoinList is the valuation, right? So the value proposition of CoinList is great. And at the beginning of a cycle, you'll see companies raising 10, 20, 30 million. But now we're starting to see $100 million raises, right? At, really big valuations. So I'm not saying that there's no value proposition for CoinList. Of course there is. But total altcoin market cap, meaning altcoins, meaning the market excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, hit 1 trillion and came off. So yes, CoinList is interesting, but the investors that invested, what did they pay? What valuation are they paying? So something to pay attention to when you see these capital raises.
Yep, good to know. Good to know.
So I was thinking kind of the opposite. When I heard $1.5 billion, I'm like, wow, that's not much. Obviously, for a traditional company or a company in the equities markets, that's a lot of money. But when you compare it to a lot of cryptos that might not have that much utility and might not have that much use case that a lot of people haven't heard, they can go up to what, $10 billion market cap, just like that. Like any meme coins can go up to $25 billion market cap, and like CoinList is almost at this point in the crypto world a household name. It has a lot of utility. It's profitable. So I'm thinking, oh wow, 1.5 billion, that's not that much. Obviously it is a lot, but when you compare it to all these other companies, or I mean all these other cryptocurrencies, it's a fraction. And I think that's kind of one thing to look out when you're analyzing the value of cryptocurrencies, of these projects. Maybe take a look at both the market cap, the fully diluted market cap, and see if it's actually worth $10 billion. It's hard to analyze it because you can't analyze cryptocurrencies based off their cash flows, their balance sheet, their income statement. But try to see whether it's these currencies could be raking in this much revenue to value them that high.
Yeah, very good. Well, let's button it up there, guys. To our audience, if you've watched or listened this far, you might as well subscribe to Token Metrics on YouTube. Just do it. Just do it. We're here to help you make money in crypto. We've got smart people like Bill and Forrest to hold your hand. If whether you know a lot or you know a little, you're going to know more after listening to these guys. So thanks for watching this podcast. It's called Engine Room. We're here 3 days a week for you. And yeah, we'll see you on Friday.